My beloved child, I see how restless your mind has been, how thoughts rise before you even open your eyes in the morning, how worries gather without permission, how your heart tightens even when nothing around you seems immediately wrong. And I want you to listen to me gently now, because I am not distant from your anxiety. I am present in the middle of it. And I am not asking you to fight your thoughts harder. I am inviting you to rest your mind in my peace. I know how anxiety speaks quickly and constantly, filling silence with fear, turning small concerns into heavy burdens, and convincing you that you must stay alert at all times or something will fall apart. And I understand how exhausting that has been for you, because living in constant readiness slowly drains the soul. You may feel frustrated with yourself for feeling anxious, telling yourself that you should trust more, that you should be calmer, that faith should make your thoughts quiet. But hear me clearly now, because anxiety is not a failure of faith. It is often the result of carrying too much alone for too long, and I am not disappointed in you for feeling this way. I see the nights when your body is tired but your mind refuses to rest, replaying conversations, imagining outcomes, fearing mistakes, and searching for control. And I am with you in those moments, closer than you realize, holding you steady even when your thoughts feel loud. My child, anxiety tells you that you are unsafe, that you must solve everything now, that peace can wait until certainty arrives. But I tell you the truth, because peace does not come from certainty, it comes from trust, and trust grows not by controlling outcomes, but by staying connected to me. I know anxiety has made you hyper-aware, constantly scanning for problems, preparing for disappointment before it happens, and while this vigilance once felt protective, it has slowly worn you down, leaving little room for joy, rest, or presence. And I am speaking to you now because I do not want you to live in constant tension. You were not created to carry tomorrow's fears on today's strength, and you were never meant to manage every possibility in your mind, because that weight was never meant for you. My child, I see how anxiety has affected your body, tightening your chest, shortening your breath, disrupting your sleep, and making even simple decisions feel heavy. And I care about that deeply, because I care about all of you, not just your faith, but your mind, your emotions, and your well-being. I am not asking you to deny what you feel, and I am not telling you to pretend anxiety is not there, because healing does not come through denial. It comes through presence, through allowing me to meet you exactly where you are. I know anxiety often comes with a constant sense of urgency, the feeling that if you slow down, something bad will happen, that if you relax, you will lose control. And I understand why that feels convincing, yet I want you to notice something gently, because even when you have been anxious, I have still sustained you. Even when your mind has raced, I have still carried you through. And this means that your safety has never depended on your constant vigilance. It has always rested in my care. My child, you are not holding your life together by worrying. You are exhausting yourself trying, and I am inviting you now to release that responsibility into my hands, not all at once, but moment by moment, breath by breath. Anxiety tells you that letting go is dangerous, but I tell you that letting go with me is where peace begins, because I am faithful to hold what you cannot. I see how anxiety has made you second-guess yourself, replay decisions, fear making the wrong choice, and hesitate to move forward. And I want you to know that you do not need perfect clarity to be guided, because I lead gently, correcting your steps when needed, not condemning you for every misstep. You are not one wrong decision away from disaster, and your life is not as fragile as anxiety makes it feel, because I am involved, present, and attentive. My child, anxiety often speaks in what-ifs, rehearsing pain before it happens, and I want you to pause and remember how many times you feared something that never came, how many times you worried yourself through situations that resolved differently than you imagined, and how many times I carried you through moments you once thought you could not survive. This does not mean your fears are foolish. It means your mind is tired, and a tired mind needs care, not criticism. I know you sometimes feel trapped inside your thoughts, wishing you could simply turn them off, wishing you could experience quiet without effort. And I want you to know that peace is not something you force, it is something you receive. And receiving requires trust, not control. My child, I am not asking you to silence every anxious thought. I am asking you to bring them to me instead of carrying them alone, because peace does not arrive when thoughts disappear. It arrives when fear loses its authority. When anxiety rises, do not shame yourself. Do not panic about panicking. Simply notice it and bring it to me, because I am gentle with your process and patient with your pace. I see how anxiety has affected your joy, making it hard to stay present, making happiness feel fragile, making you afraid to relax too deeply in case something goes wrong. And I want you to hear me clearly now, because joy is not dangerous and peace is not careless, and you are allowed to experience calm without fear. You do not need to brace yourself constantly, and you do not need to stay tense to survive, because you are safe with me, even when life feels uncertain. My child, I am your peace because I do not remove every challenge immediately, but because I remain steady when challenges arise. And as you stay with me, your mind will slowly learn a new rhythm, one shaped by trust rather than fear. There will still be anxious moments, and I do not promise you a life free from worry overnight, but I promise you companionship, guidance, and peace that grows stronger with time. And that peace does not depend on perfect calm, it depends on my presence. You may notice small changes first, moments when your anxiety loosens its grip a little faster, moments when your breath deepens more easily, moments when your thoughts slow without effort. And these moments matter because they signal that your mind is learning to rest again. My child, healing from anxiety is not about becoming fearless. It is about learning where to place your fear. And when you place it in my hands, it no longer controls you. Stay with me when your thoughts feel loud. Do not run from them, and do not judge yourself for them, because I am not intimidated by your anxiety, and I am not overwhelmed by your worries. And as you remain with me, you will discover that peace does not arrive by force, it arrives by presence. You are not broken for feeling anxious. You are human, and I am with you in this, guiding you gently, calming you patiently, and teaching your heart and mind that they no longer have to live in constant alarm.
My beloved child, I know how discouraging it feels when fear keeps returning even after you have prayed, even after you have tried to be calm, even after moments when peace briefly touched your heart, only for anxiety to rise again as if nothing changed. And I want you to listen to me gently now, because fear returning does not mean healing has failed. It means your heart is learning something new, and learning always takes time, patience, and repeated reassurance. I see how you sometimes feel frustrated with yourself, asking why you are still afraid, why your mind still jumps to worst-case scenarios, why trust feels fragile instead of steady. And I want you to know that I am not disappointed in you for this process, because trust is not rebuilt all at once. It is rebuilt layer by layer, especially when fear has lived with you for a long time. You are not broken because fear returns, and you are not weak because calm does not stay permanently yet, because what you are experiencing is the normal rhythm of a heart that is learning to rest after living in tension. I know fear has trained your mind to expect danger, to stay alert, to protect you from disappointment, pain, or loss. And while that fear once felt like it was keeping you safe, it has also kept you tired, guarded, and unable to fully rest. And I am gently retraining your heart now, not by forcing fear away, but by teaching you where safety truly comes from. My child, fear returns because it is familiar, not because it is correct. And familiarity often feels stronger than truth at first, but truth grows steadier the more you choose it, and I am walking with you as that happens. You may feel tempted to panic when fear shows up again, telling yourself you are back at the beginning, but hear me clearly, because returning fear does not erase progress, it simply reveals another place where trust is ready to grow. I see how fear speaks quickly and convincingly, reminding you of past pain, warning you about possible futures, and questioning whether peace can really last. And I understand why those thoughts feel real, yet I want you to remember something important, because fear speaks loudly, but it does not speak wisely, and it does not see the full picture of your life the way I do. My child, you are not meant to eliminate fear by yourself, and you are not meant to fight it with sheer willpower, because fear is not defeated by force, it is softened by presence, by staying connected to me when it rises, instead of running from it or believing it. Each time fear returns and you choose to stay with me, rather than surrender to panic, something within you strengthens quietly, even if you do not feel it immediately. I know you sometimes feel exhausted by the cycle, calm followed by fear, relief followed by tension, hope followed by doubt, and that exhaustion makes you wonder whether lasting peace is even possible for you. But listen to me now, because peace does not arrive as a permanent feeling all at once. It arrives as a growing ability to return to calm more quickly, to trust more gently, and to recover more fully, and this is already beginning in you. My child, I am teaching you that fear does not have to be the enemy you run from. It can become the signal that draws you back to me, the reminder to breathe, to pause, and to place your heart in my hands again. Fear loses power when it no longer controls your direction, and that happens not when fear disappears, but when trust becomes stronger. I see how fear has shaped your decisions, sometimes holding you back from moving forward, sometimes pushing you to overthink, sometimes making you doubt your ability to handle what lies ahead. And I want you to know that you are not as fragile as fear makes you believe, because you have already endured more than you thought you could, and you are still here, still open, still seeking peace. My child, trust is not the belief that nothing bad will ever happen. It is the confidence that even if something difficult comes, you will not face it alone, and I will give you what you need when you need it. You do not need to trust your own strength, your own calm, or your own ability to manage everything. You only need to trust my presence with you. I know fear has made you vigilant, constantly checking your thoughts, monitoring your feelings, and watching for signs that anxiety is returning. And while awareness can be helpful, constant monitoring keeps your mind tense, and I am inviting you to release that responsibility to me. You do not need to watch yourself so closely anymore, because I am watching over you, and I do not miss the moments when your heart begins to tighten or your thoughts begin to race. When fear returns, instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" I want you to gently ask, "Where can I place this fear now?" Because fear needs a place to go, and my presence is that place. My child, there will be days when fear feels stronger than others, days when progress feels slow, days when calm feels distant, and none of that means you are failing, because healing is not measured by perfect consistency, it is measured by continued connection, and you are staying connected even now. Each time you bring your fear to me, instead of letting it isolate you, trust grows deeper, even if the feeling of fear lingers for a while. You are learning that fear does not need to be eliminated before you move forward. It simply needs to stop deciding for you, and I am teaching you that step by step. I know fear has whispered that you must be fully calm before you can live freely, before you can enjoy peace, before you can trust again. But I want you to know that freedom does not wait for fear to vanish. It grows alongside it as trust becomes stronger than fear's voice. My child, I am patient with this process, and I am not rushing you, because what grows slowly often grows deeply, and deep trust will sustain you long after this season passes. You may not feel proud of yourself right now, but I see courage in every moment you choose not to give up, not to panic, not to withdraw, and that courage matters more than you realize. Stay with me when fear returns. Do not see it as failure. See it as an invitation to deepen trust, because each time you stay, each time you breathe, each time you place your heart back in my hands, fear loses a little more ground and peace grows a little stronger. My child, I am not asking you to never feel afraid again. I am teaching you that fear no longer has the authority to control your life, because I am your peace, I am your safety, and I am with you even when fear tries to return. My beloved child, I know how anxiety does not remain only in your thoughts, but settles into your body as well, tightening your muscles, shortening your breath, exhausting your energy, and leaving you feeling worn down even on days when you have done very little physically. And I want you to hear me clearly now, because I see that exhaustion, and I am not overlooking it or expecting you to push through it on your own. You may wonder why you feel so tired all the time, why rest does not seem to refresh you the way it once did, why your body feels heavy even when your heart wants peace. And I want you to understand that prolonged anxiety asks your body to stay in constant alert, and that constant alert slowly drains the strength you need to feel whole. My child, there is nothing wrong with you for feeling this way, and you are not imagining it, because your body has been carrying fear alongside your mind, and both need care, gentleness, and restoration. I see how anxiety has kept you braced, shoulders tense, jaw tight, breath shallow, always ready for something to go wrong. And that posture, carried day after day, has quietly worn you down, making even small tasks feel difficult. And I am speaking to you now because I want you to know that I am restoring you, not only emotionally and spiritually, but physically as well, because I care for your whole being. You may feel frustrated that you cannot simply will yourself into feeling better, that calm does not instantly return when you want it to. And I want you to hear me gently, because restoration is not forced, it is received, and your body will learn to rest again as your heart learns to trust. My child, anxiety convinces you that staying tense will keep you safe, but tension is not protection, and living in constant readiness is not sustainable. And I am teaching your body that it is safe to soften, safe to release, safe to breathe again. I know how fear has disrupted your sleep, how nights feel restless, how your mind wakes you before your body is ready, how you lie awake feeling tired yet unable to rest. And I am with you in those hours, closer than you think, not frustrated by your wakefulness, not impatient with your tossing and turning, but present, steady, and calming. You may feel discouraged when you wake up still tired, still tense, still anxious, and you wonder whether healing is happening at all. But listen to me now, because restoration often begins quietly, beneath your awareness, as your nervous system slowly learns that it does not need to stay on guard all the time. My child, I am not asking you to fix your body, and I am not asking you to understand everything that is happening within you. I am asking you to stay with me as I teach you how to rest again. I see how anxiety has affected your appetite, your energy, your motivation, and even your sense of enjoyment, and I know how discouraging it is to feel disconnected from your own body, as if it is not responding the way it should. And I want you to know that I am patient with this process, because your body has been doing its best to protect you, even when that protection has become exhausting. My child, restoring strength after anxiety is not about pushing yourself to feel energetic again. It is about allowing yourself to recover without judgment, to move gently, to listen to what your body needs, and to trust that renewal will come in time. You may feel pressure to return to who you were before anxiety, but I am not asking you to go backward. I am guiding you forward into a healthier rhythm, one where rest and activity are balanced and where your body no longer has to live in constant alert. I know there are days when you feel discouraged by how slowly strength seems to return, when you compare yourself to others or even to your past self and feel disappointed that you cannot do what you once could. And I want you to release that comparison now, because comparison steals compassion, and compassion is what your body needs most in this season. My child, you are not weak because you need rest. You are healing, and healing requires patience, kindness, and time. I am restoring your strength in ways that last, not by forcing your body to perform, but by teaching it to feel safe again, because safety is the foundation of true rest. I see how anxiety has made you hyper-aware of physical sensations. Every heartbeat, every breath, every tension interpreted as danger, and I know how frightening that can feel. Yet I want you to remember that your body is not your enemy. It is responding to fear, and as fear loosens its grip, your body will follow. My child, when you feel sensations that alarm you, pause and bring them to me rather than letting fear interpret them for you, because fear exaggerates and distorts, but my peace brings clarity and calm. You are learning to listen without panic, to notice without reacting, and that learning takes time, and I am patient with you in it. I know how anxiety has affected your ability to feel joy freely, making you cautious even in moments of happiness, as if relaxing too much might invite something bad. And I want you to hear me clearly now, because joy is not dangerous, and rest is not careless, and you are allowed to feel good without waiting for something to go wrong. My child, I am teaching your body that it is safe to experience calm, safe to experience pleasure, safe to experience peace, and that lesson will unfold gently as you continue to stay with me. You may not feel dramatic changes overnight, but over time, you will notice that your shoulders relax more easily, your breath deepens more naturally, your sleep grows more restful, and your energy returns in steadier ways. And these changes will remind you that restoration is happening even when it feels slow. Stay close to me in this process, especially on days when your body feels heavy, because heaviness does not mean you are going backward. It often means your body is finally releasing what it has held for too long. My child, I am restoring your strength patiently, carefully, and lovingly, not rushing you, not pressuring you, and not expecting more from you than you are able to give. Trust me with your body as you have trusted me with your mind and heart, because I am faithful to heal all that has been strained by fear, and I will continue this work until rest no longer feels foreign, strength no longer feels fragile, and peace becomes a place you recognize and return to with confidence.
My beloved child, I know how discouraging it feels to sense that you are moving in circles, that anxiety loosens its grip only to return again, that calm comes briefly and then slips away, leaving you wondering whether you are truly progressing at all. And I want you to hear me clearly now, because feeling stuck does not mean you are failing. It means you are in a process that unfolds gradually, and I am leading you forward even when the steps feel small or repetitive. I see how the cycle has worn you down, how the effort to feel better has itself become exhausting, how you question whether you are doing something wrong when fear resurfaces. And I am speaking to you now to free you from that self-blame, because healing does not move in straight lines, and progress often looks like learning how to return to peace more gently rather than never needing to return at all. You are not trapped because you are weak, my child. You feel trapped because anxiety learned to repeat itself for a long time, and patterns formed over time require patience, not pressure, to change. I am not rushing you out of this place, and I am not standing back waiting for you to figure it out. I am walking with you through it, teaching you how to move forward without force, without fear, and without the belief that you must be completely calm before you can live fully. I know how tempting it is to measure your healing by how often anxiety appears, to count calm days versus difficult ones, and to judge yourself when fear returns. Yet I want you to shift your attention gently, because progress is not found in the absence of fear, it is found in your response to it. Each time anxiety rises and you choose not to panic, not to run, not to condemn yourself, something important shifts within you, even if you do not feel immediate relief. My child, you are learning how to stay present when discomfort appears, how to breathe without bracing, how to let fear pass through without deciding your direction. And these are signs of deep healing taking place. The cycle feels discouraging because you are focusing on the repetition, but I see the change in how you move through it, and that change matters more than you realize. I see how you sometimes feel impatient with yourself, longing to be past this, wishing you could return to who you were before anxiety entered your life. And I understand that longing, yet I want you to hear me clearly now, because I am not leading you backward. I am leading you forward into a wiser, gentler way of living, one where your peace is not dependent on circumstances or control. You are not meant to become who you were before. You are becoming someone new, someone more aware of your limits, more compassionate toward yourself, and more grounded in trust rather than tension. My child, the cycle feels heavy because it is unfamiliar territory, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It means something new is forming, and new patterns take time to feel natural. I know there are moments when you feel discouraged by how often you need reassurance, how frequently you return to the same fears, how quickly your mind jumps back into worry. And I want you to know that needing reassurance does not make you weak, it makes you human. And I am not frustrated by your need for comfort, because I am a steady presence, not a limited resource. Each time you return to me with the same concerns, you are not starting over, you are practicing trust, and practice always involves repetition. My child, anxiety trained your nervous system to react quickly and intensely, and retraining it requires gentle consistency, not criticism, and I am patient with that process because I care more about your well-being than about speed. I see how the cycle has made you afraid to plan, afraid to hope too much, afraid to relax fully. And I want you to hear me now, because living cautiously out of fear is not the same as living wisely in peace, and I am teaching you the difference. Wisdom listens, discerns, and rests, while fear rushes, tightens, and demands certainty. And as you stay with me, wisdom will begin to guide you more naturally. You may not feel confident yet, but confidence will grow quietly as you learn that anxiety does not control your future, and that even when fear appears, you can still move forward gently without harm. My child, you are not trapped in a cycle without an exit. You are in a process that has an end, and that end is not perfection. It is peace that endures, even when fear whispers. I know how exhausting it feels to keep practicing calm, to keep reminding yourself to breathe, to keep returning to trust. And I see how that effort itself has sometimes made you feel tired, as if peace requires constant work. And I want you to hear this truth now, because peace is not something you manufacture, it is something you learn to receive more easily over time. In the beginning, it feels intentional, deliberate, and tiring, but as your heart and body learn safety, peace begins to arrive with less effort, and I am guiding you to that place slowly, carefully, and lovingly. My child, do not be discouraged by the work of healing, because effort now will lead to ease later, and what feels difficult today will feel more natural tomorrow. I see how you fear being stuck forever, how that fear feeds anxiety itself, creating a loop that feels hard to break. And I want you to pause and hear me clearly now, because nothing about your life is static when you are walking with me. Change may be slow, but it is constant, and even when you cannot feel it, movement is happening beneath the surface. My child, I am leading you forward one gentle step at a time, teaching you to trust without rushing, to rest without guilt, and to live without the constant need to control outcomes. You are not meant to monitor yourself endlessly, checking whether anxiety is gone yet, because that focus keeps fear at the center, and I am inviting you to shift your attention back to me, to presence, to life unfolding around you, because peace grows where attention rests. I know you sometimes feel like giving up on trying to feel better, telling yourself it is easier to accept anxiety than to keep working toward peace. And I understand that exhaustion, yet I want you to know that acceptance does not mean surrendering to fear. It means acknowledging where you are without letting it define where you are going. My child, I am not asking you to fight anxiety endlessly. I am asking you to walk with me while it loses its grip naturally, and that will happen as trust becomes more familiar than fear. You are not required to be fearless to move forward. You only need to be willing to keep walking gently, even when fear appears. Stay with me in this place, even when the cycle feels repetitive, because repetition does not mean stagnation, it means reinforcement, and reinforcement builds strength over time. My child, I am leading you out of constant tension and into steadier peace, not by forcing you through discomfort, but by staying with you in it until your heart learns that it is safe to relax. You are not trapped, you are being guided, and even now as you listen, something within you is learning to trust that forward is possible, that calm will grow, and that this cycle does not have the final word, because I am with you, leading you gently, patiently, and faithfully towards a peace that will last.
Child, as you reach this place, I want you to notice something subtle but important beginning to settle within you. Not the complete absence of anxiety, not a perfect stillness of mind, but a growing sense that peace is no longer as fragile as it once felt, that calm returns more easily, lingers a little longer, and no longer disappears the moment fear whispers. And this is not accidental. because I have been patiently establishing you in peace, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a way of living, anchored in me. You may still feel anxious at times, and I do not deny that, yet you are beginning to realize that anxiety no longer defines your entire inner world because peace has started to claim its place beside it, steady and reliable. And this matters more than you realize. I know you may hesitate to trust this calm, afraid it will vanish suddenly, afraid that relaxing too much will invite fear back in, and I understand that caution. Yet I want you to hear me clearly now, because peace rooted in me is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect circumstances, and it does not disappear because a difficult thought passes through your mind. I see how different you are responding now, how fear no longer instantly controls your breath, how anxious thoughts no longer immediately dictate your actions, how you pause more naturally, how your body softens sooner. And though these changes may feel small, they are signs of deep transformation taking place within you. My child, peace is not the absence of thoughts, it is the absence of threat, the inner knowing that even if thoughts come and go, you are safe, held, and guided. And this knowing is growing within you now. You are learning that anxiety can exist without ruling you, that fear can speak without being obeyed, and that trust can remain even when uncertainty appears. And this learning is reshaping how you experience life. I am not rushing this process because peace that is established slowly becomes unshakable, and I am building something within you that will endure future challenges with grace rather than panic. I know there were moments when you believed anxiety would always control you, when you feared this tension was permanent, when you wondered if peace was something others experienced but you never would. And I want you to recognize now how far you have come, not by comparing yourself to anyone else, but by noticing how you recover, how you respond, and how you remain present even when discomfort arises. My child, the fact that you can now sit with anxious feelings without being overwhelmed is not weakness, it is strength. And that strength did not come from force or avoidance, it came from staying with me, again and again, choosing presence over panic and trust over control. You are not the same person you were when this journey began, and that change will continue to unfold as you walk forward. I see how peace is beginning to influence your choices, how you no longer feel the same urgency to solve everything immediately, how you allow uncertainty to exist without rushing to eliminate it, how you listen to your body more gently, and how you give yourself permission to rest without guilt. And these changes are evidence that anxiety is losing its authority. My child, you are learning a new rhythm, one where your life is not driven by fear, but guided by trust. And this rhythm will continue to strengthen as you live it. There will still be moments when fear rises unexpectedly, days when stress feels heavier, and situations that test your calm. And I want you to remember this truth deeply, because those moments do not undo what has been built. They simply invite you to return to what you now know, that you are not alone, that you are not unsafe, and that peace is still available to you. I know you sometimes worry about the future, wondering whether peace will last when new challenges come. And I want you to hear me now, because I am not only giving you peace for today, I am teaching you how to return to peace whenever you need it. Peace is no longer something you wait for, it is something you practice, something you choose, something you enter by staying connected to me. And that means it will grow stronger with time rather than weaker. My child, I am establishing you in calm, not so that life becomes effortless, but so that life becomes steadier, more spacious, and less dominated by fear. And that steadiness will allow you to experience joy more freely, to connect more deeply, and to live more fully. I see how anxiety once made you cautious about joy, hesitant to hope, afraid to relax too deeply. And I want you to know that you are now learning how to enjoy peace without bracing for loss, because peace rooted in me is safe. You are allowed to enjoy calm moments without suspicion, to feel happiness without fear of consequences, to rest without anticipating danger, and these permissions are part of the freedom I am restoring in you. My child, peace is not something you steal from fear, it is something you receive from me, and as you receive it again and again, it becomes familiar, trusted, and lasting. You are not becoming careless, you are becoming confident, not in control, but in companionship, knowing that whatever comes, you will not face it alone. As you move forward, carry this truth with you gently.
You do not need to monitor yourself constantly. You do not need to check whether anxiety is gone yet, and you do not need to prove your healing to anyone, because peace grows best when attention shifts back to living, loving, resting, and being present. My child, let peace accompany you rather than be the goal you chase, because when you walk with me, peace follows naturally. There will be days when calm feels strong and days when it feels quieter, and both are part of life, yet neither takes you away from me and neither diminishes the work that has been done within you. I am proud of you not for eliminating anxiety, but for staying, for trusting, for choosing gentleness over force, and for allowing me to guide you through this journey with patience. You have learned that healing does not mean never feeling fear again. It means fear no longer decides who you are or how you live, and that realization marks a turning point in your life. My beloved, peace is no longer something distant or temporary for you. It is becoming a steady companion because I am your peace and I remain with you always. Walk forward now with a calmer heart, a gentler mind, and a deeper trust, knowing that even if anxiety visits again, it no longer has power over you because I am with you, establishing you in peace that endures. If this message brought calm to your heart, clarity to your thoughts, or reassurance to your soul, subscribe to this channel and stay close, because I will continue to speak peace, guidance, and hope into your life, reminding you again and again that you are safe, you are held, and you are never walking alone.